Hi, this is Mary from Rock Scarz Magazine. I'm introducing Matthew J.P. Gacek for his self-exploiting interview of himself. Yay! Can't believe he made me say that.
Oh, hello and good evening. Good stuff. Thor and Loki, blood brothers. Hi, I'm Matthew J. Gacek with Rock Scarz Magazine. You've been seeing me on my interviews from time to time. I've interviewed such acts as Accept and Megadeth, Blaze Bayley, Macabre. The list can go on and on. Now you've seen me, but you really don't know me. Tonight's a avenue for us to explore the wonder, the mystery, and the marvel of me. Just get my ninja knife out because I want to get a little more comfortable. And allow me to lavish myself with a little of my favorite beverage, Pepsi Cola. Now this is the sugar-free kind, no high corn fructose corn syrup for me. Excellent bouquet. Anyways, back to me. When I was growing up, I was part of the, the early 90s generation when I was in high school. Grunge was out, alternative music was in, and I hated it. I have to admit I was one of the last people to lose his mullets. Yes, yeah, I know, that's hard to believe. But I maintained my coolness throughout high school, and up until present day, hence why I'm working for Rock Scarz Magazine. Well, anyways, I listened to bands such as Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Soundgarden, okay, some of the grunge was okay. But my taste in music prevailed against all others, and I realized this at a young age, and that my opinion matters more than most everyone else's. So, what better avenue than to, pursue a career in journalism and writing. So, finally I got down the road, met up with Roman with Rock Scarz Magazine, showed him what I could do, showed him my smile, which is ever so dashing. And we negotiated a bit, and I ended up working for him. It's been about a year now. Rock Scarz is a periodical about art, the art of the human being, whether it be music or tattoos, the illustration aspect, the art of the person and the personality. These things are the nucleus of Rock Scarz Magazine, and I just so happen to be able to harbor all these qualities. I can take them all in, just as I can take some more of this fine Pepsi Cola. Well, the sky's the limit. I'm sure that you've seen me interview some great acts, and either via internet with my writings, and also do some swell interviews. Art of Dying comes to mind. I've also had some great bands that I've talked to backstage that I've yet to interview, such as like Disturbed. I'm looking forward to anything that is out there on the radio right now that is actually played by a human being, which is rare and few and far between nowadays, and that's very unfortunate because we're really watching the music industry implode on itself. It hasn't really thought ahead, and the last decade is proof of that, of how to just keep itself stable, make money, because it just kept releasing things for the quick fix, get a quick dose of money here, get your quick exposure here. They never really settled on how to market it. They had albums come out, and I've said this in prior interviews, that had one or two songs basically that were worth listening to. They were the singles. And once you were done listening to those two crappy songs, okay, good songs I should say, you really didn't have anything else left for it. The R&B scene came in, and they pretty much did the same thing but fast forwarded through it. I watched Coolio come and go, Usher's come in a few times here or there. LL Cool J's kind of been a perennial rapper, but really no one stays on the charts for that long and is cool for a long stretch of times. There are a few exceptions. You really gotta sacrifice yourself in the industry nowadays to, just to get your 15 minutes of fame. It's a lot different from when I was a kid and prior. I'd say that when record companies stuck by their artists, and even if they had a lousy flop here or there, like Bruce Springsteen did when he was younger, they ended up with a product that sold. And to this day, Bruce Springsteen can fill stadiums. We need to revitalize the rock and roll scene. Pay attention to what people can do with instruments, their talents. Just like if you're going to a art museum, see what's on the walls, get to know what's there. Read a comic book, see how well the artists can draw. That's improved a lot since I've been a kid. But then again, those classic artists such as Neil Adams and Jack Kirby will never go out of style in my eyes. Barry Windsor Smith. And how well they're written as well. These things need to be taken into the same context, music-wise. Musicians need to be treated as artists, and we need to pay attention to them and focus in on them so we can have something substantial to cling on to. That's why I think Iron Maiden, for example, my favorite band in case you haven't noticed, has been around the block. They went through the fad stage, which I spoke of earlier, where it was just, the 5-minute single, followed by another 5-minute single 6 months down the line. Well, they were putting out a whole album worth of songs, songs of worth, I should say, but, they decreased in their popularity for a period of time. They were playing clubs. I actually was in those clubs watching them play at that time, while everyone else was seeing bands like Bush, which, they suck, I'm sorry. Although, Galvin, if you're ever interested in having an interview, I'll be glad to change my mind. And I don't want to offend your wife, Gwen, by any means. But still, those are bands that they've stayed true to their content and to what they have to offer their crew, and they play well. The new bands coming out can also do that, is what I'm trying to get down to. They can do and offer the same things. They just need your attention. I've met some great bands, and I encourage you to look back on my interviews, and you'll see a lot of them. Damnation was just last week. There's a band that's very talented. If they get the support from the fans and the fans follow them, they could be a multi-generational act that people can go to. I mean, the fact of the matter is, there's so few acts nowadays that have that kind of attention, and the fact is they came from the 70s and even the 60s, and they could barely pick up their guitars anymore. I mean, Van Halen's out on the road. They're a rock band. They're charging $150 per seat. And, it's just not fair, because that's not what they did when they were younger. And it was more of a consumer market. Nowadays, that's not the case. It's no one's market. It's all falling apart. So what we need to do is start recognizing those bands which have talent and pursuing them. And Rock Scarz has done a great job of doing that. Prep School Tragedy is another band that I'd recommend that's out there and should get more attention. I do see some promise here and there, Art of Dying being one band. Disturbed sponsored them, showed them the ropes. Disturbed seems to know how how to get by in this industry nowadays, because they still sell a lot of records. But again, I have to get back to the fact that the older acts are the ones who are still selling the most albums, because they've established themselves a fan base with an attention span. So we as a generation have a responsibility, if we want to see good entertainment coming up, to get that attention span back. And otherwise, who knows how music's going to come to us in the future. I'm not saying it's going to be, be afraid of this brave new world. No, I'm not saying anything like that. I am saying, though, that bands need our support, because it's one of those, they're making money off of their merchandising and touring right now. And it's harder now to be an artist than it's ever had to been before, from what I gather in my experiences and talking to these musicians on the road. So it's very important to keep in touch with what they're saying, follow them, buy their CDs, buy their downloads, go to their shows, buy their t-shirts. What I would also encourage, for your sake and for the bands who are making a lot of money, charging $150 a seat, is to go see the bands that are not charging that much money, who still have that much talent, and they are out there. Accept is still out there. There's still a phenomenal band that I would really, really recommend getting into. I can't tell you how much I praise Accept now. Maybe I can compare them to Iron Maiden, because I love Iron Maiden. We can get into like Strapping Young Lad, although I don't think they're together anymore, but Devin Townsend is. So Devin Townsend's another great artist that I recommend. Also, he's a great producer. Fear Factor, I wish they would just mesh back together, because that was a band I thought had a lot of promise and potential. But everyone gets fickle after a while. And sometimes, I think of the Marilyn Manson song Rock is Dead. When it came out, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, this is a rock song. Well, it's pretty much dead in a lot of areas now. I mean, you could play rock band, but what songs are you playing? Songs that have been around for like 20, 30 years. Those are the songs that are popular. It's great you have those perennial acts out there nowadays, but for future generations, I mean, what are these bands going to do? Like, say, AC/DC. Okay, we're going to have to retire, but people still want to have AC/DC played to them. Let's just pick out a new band and they could slap the label AC/DC on. I've heard Roger Taylor of Queen, who's a drummer, recently kind of more or less say that him and Brian May are picking out a cover band to do Queen songs, which is kind of cool in a way, because you're going to see Queen being played. And I've seen Queen come around town when they were in Chicago last, if you want to call them Queen, half a Queen. And they were okay, but age comes to all of us over time. I have to have some more of my fine Pepsi. Effervescent. Anyways, it was cool to see them come down. Cool to see it. It was a dream come true to me. Would have been great to see them when they were younger. And that's why we need to see the younger bands now, while they're younger. So, in short, I've taken up enough time of my own, because quite frankly, that really is all the time that matters to me. So, on behalf of Rock Scarz Magazine, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for noticing me, because I am well worth noticing, as are many of the bands that we sponsor. God bless you.